when we deal with a country, first we have to understand its location, its history, as well as why the countries are important. So if you take the case of Russia, in this map, you can see both India as well as Russia, right? Are they neighbors? We are having this much distance, right? So we are not immediate neighbors. So most of the time, if you see, if we have an immediate neighbor, we obviously have some sort of issue. Maybe we have a land boundary agreement issue, or we might have issues related to water sharing, immigration, migration. So many issues can happen when we have an immediate neighbor. The same happens when you leave also. Sometimes we might have issues or fighting with the immediate neighbor. Some friends or some people will be far away from you, with which you have a very good relation. So if you see India-Russia relationship, we are not immediate neighbors. So that itself negates the possibility of so many issues. That's why India and Russia, from the time of history itself, are very close countries. So that is one idea which you have to keep in mind. Whichever country you are studying, in your mind, you should have a connection to where it is located. Okay, like because we can analyze so much of thing based on the location. So India and Russia are a bit far, like having a distance among themselves. That is something which we have to understand. Then comes another important part, that is history. How did the relationship started or how it evolved is another very important thing which we all have to discuss upon. Okay, so if you see the history of India and Russia, before Russia, it was called as Soviet Union or USSR. And this USSR was considered by India as its big brother. So what do you mean by a big brother? Yes, a person who supports us at any time. Like whenever we have an issue, we might call it our elder brother. Maybe he can be your cousin, maybe a close friend. Many a time we look for help in an elder person. So for India, after we got our independence, when India was a young nation, whatever problem we had a direct connection to USSR, or that time it was called USSR, not Russia. So from that time itself, we had an alignment that both India as well as that time's USSR or Soviet Union shared a very close relationship. So, and India under the Prime Ministership of Jawaharlal Nehru pursued a policy of non-alignment. So non-alignment is a very important topic which we will discuss in future. Non-alignment actually means not aligning with any superpowers. In this idea, I just want to give you a background check of what was the situation. So by the time India got independence in 1947, the world was split into two. By 1945, the world wars came to an end, especially the Second World War. And it was so much of Holocaust, so much of issue. And after that, when new countries started to evolve, the old powerful countries started to disintegrate. For example, United Kingdom, France, etc. lost their power. Then it was two powerful countries which held everything. That was USA, and the next one was Russia, or that time it was called as USSR. So they were having strong power. So what these countries did was that after the World War went over, so before World War, India was a colony to British. Similar to India, there was countries all around the world which were colonies of these European powers. When World War ended, these colonies started to get freedom. So USA under one block. For example, if I draw it over here, you can find USA here. You can find USSR over here, both power blocks. Okay, it was called both power blocks. So what happened? There were so much of small countries. You know what USA did? They wanted to get control or get them under their influence. So USA and both USSR tried to bring the newly independent countries into their fold of influence. So either they have to be under the USA's influence or the USSR's influence. So that was a risky game. So to get escape from that, Indian Prime Minister under Jawaharlal Nehru started something called as non-alignment movement, in which we believe we will not align with any of these ideologies, rather we will align with everyone. That means we will be having strong, good relations with everyone. We will not be like having issues with these countries. So that was what India did. Even though, so NAM was that, okay, having not aligning with any country, rather having good and open relation with everyone. But you have to understand, in spite of that, we had a pretty much closer relation to Soviet Union, because that was one country which supported us in our defense, supported us with our technology. Even our first satellite Aryabhatta was launched with the help of Russians. If you connect it now, India is going to have a fanfare thing called as Gaganyaan. What is Gaganyaan? Anybody? Okay. So Gaganyaan is actually India's flagship scheme in which India is sending astronauts to space. Gagan, that means sky. So we want to sell astronauts to the space. That is Gaganyaan. Okay. So in that also, our astronauts are trained by the Russians. So from that time up to now, we are having a close relation. And even after USSR, because this time now, this USSR strong power, that war was called as Cold War. There were no direct war, but it was a kind of proxy war. Okay, so that was called as Cold War. So it reached its peak, and in 1991, because of the confrontation between the bloc by USSR and bloc by USA, they started to outperform each other by spending huge sums of money on defense, etc. Finally, USSR lost the battle and they dissolved, or they became dissolution. That means Soviet Union disintegrated into small countries. And from that, from Soviet Union, now India started forging relations with Russia. And evolved, we developed the relationship with Russia. And the formalization, even though we had a strong relation, the formalization or an agreement happened in 2000. And what is the name? Declaration of India-Russia Strategic Partnership. From there, again, the relationship started to grow. Before this also, they had relation because there were many travelers from Russia who visited India. If you see, Russian traveler Nikitin began his journey to India in 1468. So this is because travelers are a very important part of your UPSC preparation, especially in prelims. Even in mains, in GS paper 1, there have been questions of how the travelers help in the history formation. So you have to have a clarity on that as well. Okay, so Russian traveler Nikitin visited India. Then these are something which I have already told you. This is just for you guys to prepare some chart or something like that so that you could revise quickly. So 1947 we had started Russia, especially with USSR as well Russia. And many a time when India and Pakistan have issue, it was Soviet Union who come as a peace broker or who stands between India and Pakistan and help both countries to formalize strike. Okay. And especially in 1971, we had a historic signing of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. So this you have to just understand, no need to go too much of deep into this because questions seldomly comes, especially because in IR questions, in mains, questions mainly come in analytical point of view. Questions might come how the growth of relation between India and USA can affect India-Russia relationship, or how can relationship between India and Russia affect India-US. Such kind of questions you can expect. Okay, so that is related. So the another important landmark was in 2000 where we signed the declaration of India Russia strategic partnership, and in 2010 after 10 years again it was highlighted or elevated to special privileged strategic partnership. So the names you need not worry because whenever the relationships become strong, words get added. So no need to worry in those things. Just understand one thing: the relationship between India and Russia is really strong and it is growing. Okay, that is one thing which you have to understand. Okay. Then when studying strong powers, okay, or big powers, is very important we understand why countries are important. So when studying about Russia, we must understand why Russia is very important to us. Because when you have a relationship with one person, it is not like, okay, I like that person, so I am having good relation. It is not how international relation works. In international relations, every relation or every contract must bring to us certain benefits. It can be monetary or hard benefits, or sometimes it can be called benefits as well. But the purpose is that our national security is met. That is very important. Our national security must be met relationship with any country. So for Russia also, we have so many benefits, especially Russia is India's time-tested partner. That means from 1947, when India got independence, till now in 2024, we are having a very strong relation. That shows India's head or India's most powerful person, that is India's prime minister, and Russia's head, that is the president, meets once in a year. That itself shows how strong the relationship are. You can see in international relations when the most powerful person of a country versus the most powerful person of another country, that means the relationship is really strong. Especially if you connect it with India, if a prime minister visits a country or comes in talk with another country's head, that means the relationship is extremely strong. So India and Russia have an annual summit in which both of the head come and meet. From 2021, due to the Crimea issue, due to the COVID issue, or due to the Ukraine issue, we did not meet. But in 2024, our Prime Minister visited Vladimir Putin in Russia. That means that shows the strength of the relationship. Then there were so many issues which India faced, especially with Pakistan. When almost many countries, including the United States of America, China, were against India, it was Russia that completely supported us. Even when we exploded the nuclear vehicle or the Buddha, which we called the smiling Buddha, at that time all, it was Russia that was continuously supporting us. Then comes energy security. Especially in the recent time after Russia entered into the war with the Ukraine, India started getting discounted oil, which India is importing in bulk quantity. That gives us the energy security. As well as in Kudamkulam in Tamil Nadu, Russia have nuclear reactors which also gives us clean energy. Then comes an institution called as United Nations Security Council. This we will study when we study international bodies in detail, but here I will give you a small glimpse of it. United Nations Security Council is a principal organ of United Nations, which is entrusted with creating security all over the world. The prime responsibility is to have security. But in this institution, there is a concept called as P5 members. Do anybody have an idea of what is P5 members? Anybody? We have China, you have UK, then Russia, United States of America, France. So what is the specialty of these P5 members? They have the famous veto power. Every decision, important decision in United Nations Security Council must get the permission of these P5 members. And if any of these members reject it, then it cannot be implemented. That is called as veto power. And this veto is unconditional. That means they should not give any reasons for it as well. So what does that bring? And now you might have understood what Russia is important for India, because Russia is a member of P5. So whenever an issue of India comes to the decision-making table of United Nations Security Council, Russia will support us. Previously, there were many instances in which proposals of Kashmir was brought to the United Nations Security Council by China and Pakistan. It was Russia that vetoed it or stopped it. So that's why, because Russia is a permanent member of United Nations Security Council, for India, Russia is important. Clear? Then comes defense. India's major weapons are taken from Russia. Let it be our submarines, let it be our helicopters, let it be our tanks, gun, even the famous AK-47 which we see in films. Everything we get from Russia. If you see very recently, it is S-400 missile system that we got hold from Russia. So these are the reasons why Russia is very, very, very important to us. So do keep it in mind. So the essence of these sessions are to give you a skeleton or to give you an understanding about the countries and the relations, so that I hope you guys read newspaper. So when you read newspaper, you will get a clarity on it, how to connect. Okay, so hope you guys read newspaper. Okay.